Okay, it's been a while since I did one of these, and I thought it would be cool to do another 30-day challenge. So, yeah, I don't remember when I did the last one. Was it last summer? Something like that. So we're coming back. Breakthrough Cruise back at it again. We're going to try and reuse all of the same lingo, vocab, all that stuff that I have forgotten. But we're trying to build a brand here. So that's actually the most important goal here is the brand. Yeah. This time, what I'm thinking I'm going to do, I had the motivation to do it yesterday, and it just so happened to line up with the start of a month, which is cool. We're going to do a 30-day yoga challenge, I guess. The yoga won't be particularly challenging in that I am already kind of regularly doing yoga. I do yoga about once a week. I do a lot of other exercise too. But this one is going to be special because I'm going to be doing it in the morning before I do anything. We're going to try and work on two poses specifically, and that's splits and handstands. So we're going to be working hard on those. I did a practice run, it took me about 15 minutes. And what we're going to do is we're going to do three sun salutations, like normal ones, three sun salutations with Warrior One built in, just to kind of warm up. And then we'll try the splits, uh, both sides, front and back, and then side splits. And then we'll do some kind of handstand practice. And I like the splits. They feel really good to do, but currently I'm a little tight, can't quite do them. So I thought this will be fun to try and do. And then the other thing is I've been having like some not quite hand injury, it just feels like hand weakness. Feels like I keep messing things up with my hands and like my fingers, and like when I'm doing handstands during our yoga class, like this, my wrist and like thumb feels a little weak, and it oftentimes gives out when I'm like doing the what do you call them, the up dogs. So we're going to be real gentle here with the handstand practice. We're just going to try and do some kind of strengthening exercise that might culminate in trying some handstands or something that day. It might also just look like, doing some wrist push-ups or like some finger push-ups, or just kind of putting pressure on, trying to like kind of strengthen and work my fingers and my hands to try and get them stronger. Currently, I can sometimes do a handstand. If I get kind of lucky and get upright, I can hold it for maybe 15, 20 seconds, something like that. But success rate's rather low, I would say. I can't consistently do it. So that'll be interesting to track. So that's kind of the plan, if you will. We're going to see how it goes. I wanted to talk through a little bit of my thinking process, planning process, and do some of the things that helped me last time, which is to think about things that didn't go so well last time or things that were difficult last time, some ways that I'm going to get around that this time, or like kind of mitigate it, and then talk about some of the things that I thought might make this more likely to succeed. So some of the things that were difficult last time are that it turns out it's actually a lot of effort to commit to something every day, especially I guess something new that hasn't been done before. Um, Interesting thought here. Might cut this. Might cut these. I don't know. We'll see how long this goes. Um, a lot of our habits we take a long time to develop. We tend to be pretty bad at them in the start, in the sense that we like don't regularly do them, but then we can slowly build a habit over time. And so starting a new habit just seems really tough, actually, to consistently do it every day. Some of the things that get in the way are things like it can be really it can really build up over time, whatever the effects are. And those can be sometimes catch you by surprise, or sometimes not be anticipated, and that can make it really hard to actually commit to the full 30 days doing it every day. Like with my walking challenge last summer, I didn't anticipate getting blisters as being one of the things that I thought it would be all about how difficult walking was, but no. So like blisters made it kind of tough. Uh, and then I think I alternated which shoes I use to try and get around that, but I hadn't anticipated that. Let's see, I wrote up some notes. Oh, this is tough too. Finding something that both feels impactful to do, but as in is kind of hard enough that it actually culminates in something, but also seems doable. I'm sure I could do, okay, I'm not entirely sure. There's a lot of overhead here, but one sun salutation a day is going to be pretty easy. It might be tricky to do the overhead managing part, the like filming it every day, uploading it every day, tracking it, those kinds of things. There's always going to be that, but one sun salutation is going to be pretty easy because not going to have much of an impact. However, though it seems doable, it fails to feel impactful, and I might give up or just stop doing it, not really care. Especially when it comes to the overhead part. I might stop uploading videos if I don't feel like it's really doing anything. So I want it to be impactful, but I also want to make sure that I can commit to it up front. It's also really tough to predict. I've gotten a little bit better at this, or have a little bit of experience that like there's some overhead to it. Like I just said, the video editing, or like filming it, editing it, setting that up, that there can be obstacles and challenges along the way that aren't anticipated. And then trying to find a way to actually adapt to that can be kind of tricky. So yeah, some of the things that I like about this challenge I think are good. It's fairly doable, 15 minutes in the morning. I tend to have that much time, kind of free, if you will. So that should work. It might be a little tough on days where I work early or start work early to try and fit that in, but I think it should be good. One thing is it is exercise, and exercise is a lot easier, I think, to wake up and do than it is to do something else, to wake up and, I don't know what else, something that isn't physical. I'm building in a lot of like flexibility as far as what I work on, given that the yoga poses are about finding where I'm at that day and kind of working at the boundary. So it should be good as far as injury prevention, that I can ease up and just do whatever is hard that day and allow myself time to kind of recover. Since it's in the morning, it's less likely that I'll get distracted before or kind of forget to do it or something. I do think this is going to be a difficulty as far as editing the video and uploading it. I'm not quite sure because I'm not sure I'll always have time to then upload the video and edit it and all that stuff. So that might be tricky. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to get around that. One advantage of this too is that I think that since it's already something I'm doing some of, the yoga, I think it will be easier to make it to make it a habit every day, because it's just kind of continuing one of my habits as opposed to building something entirely new. And it's also way less. I don't think, for example, that I could do an hour and a half of yoga every day. There's almost no way, because I'm not going to have time every day. It's a lot. That's going to have a huge amount of like consequences, impacts as far as like the build up over time. I think that one I would be pretty likely to not do. But, a few sun salutations should be fairly doable. So what are some of the difficulties? It could definitely be more tiring than I predict, and I'm not planning on reducing the other exercise that I do, so it's just kind of going to be adding in, I don't know, like 2 hours of exercise every single week, which is not an insignificant amount, given that I probably exercise about maybe 10 hours a week, something like 8 to 12 hours, somewhere in there. So another 2 hours is, it's something. It's definitely some percentage of that. I don't want to injure myself, and given that I talked about my hand injury or like my hand weakness, something like that, the handstands I do think might be tricky, because I can kind of put a lot of load on the hands, or on the fingers and the wrists and the hands. Splits I think I'm less likely to injure myself with. Sometimes I can get over flexible, but I don't think doing just like a few minutes of one particular stretch a day will do that, especially if I'm doing other exercise that will make me tight as well. And then like I talked about, the not editing the video. So that one might be tough. Last time, what I did is I uploaded the videos one day in advance, and then that gave me a lot of cushion, and then I just had to kind of do it at some point. I would sometimes do it like at night before I went to bed, um, and I'll almost for sure do that again today. Upload the videos one day, kind of late after, to give myself a little bit of buffer so that I can catch up if necessary. I was thinking about some ways to get around that. One thing is, if I do find myself getting stuck, I can edit something simple, and that might mean just uploading the whole video and not editing it down into, whatever, something more digestible or something better content, and maybe not even making a short, just boom, putting the video up and seeing what happens, or just kind of, I don't think anything will happen, but it just serves as a way to kind of document it. And then, yeah, go easy on the difficult poses, the handstands and the splits, if I feel like I'm getting overstrained. Okay, how do I feel about doing it? I actually feel kind of excited about this, in the sense that I think it is kind of cool. I already did it once, which actually, now that I'm saying that, might be a good thing to do in the future if I want to do it, is to try what I'm thinking about doing once or twice before actually doing it to see how it feels. Today, I actually, while I was doing it, thought that this really wouldn't have an impact on how I feel after one or two sun salutations. But after a few sun salutations and doing the stretches and stuff, I actually kind of felt a little bit better. Kind of helped me wake up. Kind of helped me feel a little bit more, less like kind of not sore or tight, but something kind of stiff maybe from having slept or having just gotten up from sleeping. So that was actually pretty nice, and I think that's useful to do, to know that that is actually like one of the effects. It makes it kind of more excited to get excited. It makes the benefits more impactful in the sense that I've already experienced them, and hopefully might lead to me being more motivated to keep it up. And hopefully every day it kind of feels good, and that will help me keep it going. How else do I feel? I do know that it is rather challenging to actually commit to the 30 days. That 30 days is a long time for nothing to come up at all. For me to not have some thing happen where I have to rush to get up or something. And so that is going to be tricky. That's going to be tricky. There's definitely going to be sacrifices that I have to make. Not huge sacrifices, but just sacrifices in terms of comfort. Days where I feel like it's cold out, and I don't want to get up and I'm cold, or and work out. Days where I get up and I'm hungry. Maybe I didn't eat as much the night before, and now I'm hungry, and I wanted to get up and have a snack right away. That's gonna make it all tough. Not only because, well, mostly because then it's a distraction. I guess I could, do a few sun salutations after having breakfast, but that might be just a little bit less comfortable than doing them right when I wake up, and it's just less likely that I will actually do it. I might, if I procrastinated once and having breakfast, then it's more possible I keep procrastinating. One thing that I thought was interesting with this is that I tried to really not just think about, but kind of feel a sense of continuation with this. That each of the day's activities are kind of building towards something, and trying to imagine and kind of feel what it will be like to have a whole month of doing these exercises, trying to think how that will impact my handstands, how that will impact my splits, how I might feel from that, and really trying to feel a sense that each day's activity leads into the next, or kind of not just the next day, but actually is a part of this whole 30-day thing. In that way, I think this one is maybe a little bit better, given that there's going to be some kind of progress that I might feel here. The walking one, I guess I did walk longer, which was cool, but it somehow didn't feel like very much progress. It's hard to point at progress that is, right? Like, how do you show that? How do you, like, guess you could. It just feels hard to actually like encapsulate that, to say I. Does this make sense? That what am I trying to say? The difference to me, or the difference in a story, in a video of me walking 2 or 3 miles versus me walking 6 or 8 miles, I don't feel like it's very big. I don't feel like it's very different. It's hard to really like summarize that in some kind of story or some kind of media. However, something like handstands, something like splits, I can show and see how I do on day 1, how I do on day 15, how I do on day 30, and really capture that in a summarizable way, right? I'm gonna this is another thing. I'm gonna keep a spreadsheet this time of all of my attempts and all of the time it takes, and try and keep that updated. And one of the things I'm going to keep track of is, if I have any successful handstands, how long do they last? How many of them are? How many of them are there? And I'm hoping that this sense of progress that I can see in one place, that I can kind of also do, will add to the sense of motivation, the sense of continuation and progress being built up over time. Okay, that's what I got. We're gonna see Breakthrough Crew, 30-day challenge. This is cool. Hopefully I feel better and feel good and healthier, and it kind of helps my day. And it'd be really cool to see some progress and do another one of these. We'll see. Might make me do another one. Another thing maybe is, if I don't feel like doing one, I might try and scale back the impact and make it more doable. Especially too, if I do something like this, it might be possible to either do, kind of keep the habit, just do a few sun salutations and not the other stuff. Might also be able to add in something else, or replace it, or do something that is easier to maintain, but might still kind of benefit from me doing something every day. Okay. If you want to follow along, please do. That'd be cool. And hi, Mom. I'm sure you're watching this or listening to this, so thank you for thanks for your support. And probably, I don't know who else will watch it this far. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I guess that's it. All right, here we go. Let's do it. All right, Breakthrough Crew.